Hi, everybody. I'm a bit early today, so if someone happens to be hanging around, catches this thing when it pops online, I need a mic check to make sure that everybody can hear me. I'm gonna post here as well. For anybody who pops in, I know I'm a bit early, so you're going to have to stare at me saying nothing for the next maybe 1 or 2 minutes here while we wait for people to roll in. So I'll keep my commentary to a minimum as we wait for people to come in here. I see a few people have joined. Guys, give me a mic check if you can. Just want to make sure everybody can hear. Okay, Pete, thank you. All right, so I'm only on YouTube this week, guys. No Facebook. I'm traveling with my MacBook. And yeah, Macs are great, except when they're not. And XSplit, which is what we usually use to broadcast these things. Not working on Mac, my friends. So only YouTube this week, since it's usually where we have at least the most amount of questions back and forth. So, all right, guys, it's about to hit the scheduled time. Here we go. So for those of you who haven't joined us before, or joined me before, I guess, or us collectively, I'm Kevin Mucko, CEO of CoinMetro. Right now, I'm sitting in Zurich, which is not usually where I'm usually sitting every Friday. I am traveling. We have a bit of an equity fundraising going on. I met some banks earlier today, some really good meetings with two different banks, one private bank, one actual corporate or let's say retail bank, and then also some equity, possible equity investors. So some meetings here in Zurich, some meetings tomorrow. I'll be back in Tallinn, by the way, over the weekend, have some meetings on Sunday in the office. On Monday, we're going live, folks, on Monday. And I also heard it through the grapevine that Hodlers will be launching their public sale as well on Monday. So what else can happen on Monday? You know, we already got two. We need the Holy Trinity. One more thing's got to happen. Let's see what happens. Maybe we'll get our equity round closed on Monday as well, and then Holy Trinity. Awesome. And then on Tuesday, I'm off again, traveling again. So I'm going to jump right into it, guys. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the full hour today. I'm going to try. I do have a meeting down in the lobby close to the top of the hour, which I have to prepare a bit for. So we'll see what happens. So those of you who haven't joined us before, basically this show kind of works like this. We have news that was curated over the past week about crypto, generally speaking. It's curated by some of our guys on Reddit and Telegram. Usually have 10 news stories I go through, give some comments, and then we go into Reddit questions that were posted over the last week. Then sometimes, depending on what's happened through the past week, I give a quick update. Then we jump into the AMA, which today is just YouTube. So if you have a question, you can throw it up on YouTube and I will answer it. Don't do it yet, though, unless it's just some topical question about what I'm talking about now. Wait until I let you guys know that it's ready to roll, and then I'll answer those questions. Ginger Crook just saying good luck with the go live. Appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to jump right into the news stories here. First news story on the block. Now, just again, if you haven't ever joined us before, just to let you know, I usually never read these beforehand. So most of these news stories I've already read over the week, sometimes from different sources. Sometimes I've never read them, and I go literally by the headline alone. And if I need some topical information, I click on the link. But it's kind of a game I play. I like to see if I'm able to comment on something without even reading it. I don't know how that comes across, but that's the way I roll. So here we go. The EU backs state-owned blockchain. So this one, I'm going to click for some topical information because I don't remember actually reading about this this week, which is weird because usually I'd catch something like this. So let's see what this is really fast here. EU's blockchain focus. Okay, digital identity is a fundamental building block. All right, in the report, digital currency should be a necessity. Blah, 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 blah. Scams and frauds. Okay, so even though the reports of blockchain should be self-sovereign and controlled by users, still doesn't change the fact that your whole identity should be part of what it says. Okay, so basically talking about identity on the blockchain, I guess. look, we talked about this, I don't know how many times, about the difference between decentralized and centralized systems, and whether or not governments would really be for decentralized systems, and why they wouldn't, and why that might be a good or a bad thing, etc. Sovereign identity on the blockchain is a great use case. However, doing it completely decentralized, at least under how current things operate, is probably difficult, to say the least. Though I do think more than likely you're going to see some government somewhere do that, because it streamlines lots of things. I mean, Estonia has a lot of their things on blockchain-like ledger systems. They're not decentralized. They are centralized systems, but they work, and they make things quite easy to do. So I do think you're going to see other governments adapt to those type of technologies. Before we actually see a decentralized sovereign identity on a blockchain somewhere, we're going to need to see a lot of different regulation come and go before we can see that. But anyway, it's definitely a neat idea at its core, for sure. Carl P just saying true to go live. Yeah, Carl, Monday, that's the date. That's what we're pushing towards. Just was back and forth with one of our liquidity providers, doing some making sure conformance tests were done, getting funds in place, et cetera, et cetera. So Monday, we're not giving a time on Monday. Give us a little bit of leeway, because unfortunately, some of these guys, like liquidity providers, don't work, as far as their admin side doesn't work over the weekend. So, for instance, if we can't get a conformance test done now, like literally in the next few minutes, we're going to have to do it on Monday. Sorry, Bjorn, for not making you a billionaire yet. I'm working on that, buddy. Okay, back to news articles. Number 2, ICOs in crisis, running out of money with no products. Yeah, feel the pain on that one. Look, guys, it was a crazy year, right? People raised a lot of money, sometimes for just ideas in the air, made out of air, maybe not even made out of air. Air has a value. You need it to breathe. But, at the end of the day, it was a crazy year. And when you have, crazy upswings, you get crazy downswings. And yeah, we held on to some crypto too. So we're in that boat. Obviously, if crypto was where it was in January, we wouldn't be doing an equity raise, more than likely. We might be doing some type of private equity raise just for some smart money and bringing on the right partners. But at the end of the day, we wouldn't be doing it the way we're doing it now. So, hindsight's 2020. Armchair quarterbacks love to say what they would have done, what they thought would have been best, and that's great. But we live in the real world. The real world is now, not what you would have done yesterday. So, I guess this is par for the course. This was bound to happen. The market at some point was going to correct itself. Corrected. It hasn't actually fully corrected, but it fell harder and faster than I envisioned that it would. That's why I don't make predictions. I've been quoted in a few predictions actually in different publications, but I don't like making predictions. Anybody who thinks they can predict the market, are just throwing darts at a dartboard. Some people are better at darts. But yeah, at the end of the day, look, we needed this to happen, because while we're a real company, a real business, and yeah, we need to raise some capital. Because a crypto price is falling, there are a lot of companies out there that aren't real companies, that don't have real products, that never would, that never will. And this is just a filter that the market needs. Some people will scream that it's going to stifle innovation, and that people will maybe great ideas aren't being actually funded now because of what had happened. And that may or may not be true. But look, if you have a great idea, fucking fight for it and keep fighting until you get that money, right? It shouldn't be that easy. And it was easy. It was too easy. In late 2017, early 2018, it was too easy. And now, reality is kicking in. Number 3 on the list of 10 news from last week: crypto exchange Binance is launching its own blockchain. Will it be the next Ethereum? So I don't know if this is a bit incorrect. I don't know about launching their own blockchain. They definitely talked about creating one. I think that's a logical. It's a logical step, I think, in most people's minds, that you create a company built around crypto. And you end up at some point creating your own blockchain for your own specific use case. Yeah. I would say from the exchange standpoint, or even a broker-dealer standpoint, I don't know if they're the best company to do it. Just like there's a consortium of banks that are going to make blockchain applications and blockchain protocols for banking. More than likely, we need that same type of consortium to make a blockchain that's for trading and for settlement of crypto assets. Binance has some money. I'm not sure they have the knowledge or all the knowledge that's needed to actually do that. A consortium would probably make more sense. Walk in the European Crypto Association. I think that's probably the place where all this stuff needs to start. But it's a logical next step, right? Look, you have your own token. It's built on somebody else's blockchain. They probably use blockchain for other things, whether it be a repository of data or whatever they're using it for inside their ecosystem. And why not have your own? Then you can fine tune it for exactly what you need. Because what you need is not necessarily what everybody else needs. So it's something that we eventually more than likely will do as well. Though I would rather not go at it alone and go at it with other companies that were looking to do the same thing and build more of a standard. I think the industry needs a standard. The financial industry at large uses standardized protocols, standardized tools. And it just makes things easier when you have to deal with multiple counterparties. Number 4 on the list of 10, MasterCard Patent filing outlines ways to anonymize crypto transactions. This one caught me by surprise when I read this one because I thought, MasterCard, anonymize, weird. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's what most people think. They're not wanting to anonymize the entire. They don't want. They definitely want to know who's making a transaction. What they want to do is have the ability to anonymize the data as it's in transit and when it's in storage, so that only certain, data, especially with GDPR and things like GDPR and data protection around the world, you want that data to be anonymized until it doesn't have to be, and only access to the data you need for specific transactions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Law enforcement, blah, 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 blah. So it's not that they're trying to create some type of, anonymous credit card network or something like that. They're basically looking at ways to safeguard data, and that's it. And safeguard it when it needs to be safeguarded, but definitely they're going to have access to it. Number 5 on the list of 10, cryptocurrency founders show true love for their startups with tattoos of company logos. Well, I love my company. Not sure I'm ready to tattoo it on my ass. At least not today. Maybe tomorrow, maybe on Saturday, I got nothing to do. And I'm like, hey, I got a tattoo gun here and some yellow ink. Let's go nuts. I don't know if that's true love or just really trying to get publicity in this super, super bearish market. Maybe. I don't know. If John McAfee wants to tattoo CoinMetro, whatever, on his forehead, have at it. Not going to pay you for it, but if you want to do it, thanks. I guess. Anyway. Number 6 on the list of 10, crypto exchange Kraken to plan private offering after $4 billion valuation. Yeah, this one kind of knocked me out of my chair, to be quite honest. I mean, if you look at the volumes that Kraken does, roughly $3 billion a month, I think, roughly. What they charge, the amount of clients they have, the amount of new volume they've been able to bring in versus, let's say, this time last year, versus the fact that they really don't have any additional revenue streams, the amount of assets that they list. It actually seems really awesome for CoinMetro, to be quite honest. However, I'm also a bit skeptical about that valuation, but at the same time, Coinbase was valued at $8 billion. Coinbase did more volume than Kraken did last year. This year, though, I'm not quite sure. It might be roughly on par. Coinbase, though, does have some additional revenue streams that they're working on, and they're, I think, have a bit more penetration in Europe than Kraken does. Though Kraken does have a pretty good system set up in Europe with SEPA transfers, et cetera, et cetera. So, private offering among the client base, that sounds oddly familiar. But yeah, I think looking at that valuation based on basically one main stream of revenue, they're not listing 7,000 assets like Binance, and they're not creating different revenue streams. They're not branching out into different fields. I mean, I think they did acquire, maybe was it custody? I think they acquired something a while back. So they're probably working on different things maybe on the institutional side. I'm not sure. But I think overall for us specifically, this is kind of good news. This goes into when we're out doing an equity raise right now. I mention this, and I mention this quite frequently. Number 7, Bitcoin-friendly Revolut receives European banking license, aims to be Amazon of banking. It's funny that when we do our pitch, we're like Revolut with Robinhood and Coinbase rolled into one, and Revolut is the Amazon of banking. What is Amazon then? Like when Amazon goes to pitch, what are they? They're like the Walmart online. And then Walmart, when they go to pitch, we're like the Amazon that's offline. I don't know, but I guess credit given where credit's due, right? Bitcoin friendly, I think here is a bit of a misnomer because, yeah, you can buy Bitcoin on Revolut, but you can't do anything with it except sell it back. So yeah, you're buying kind of a future almost, or a derivative. But yeah, European bank lines, great for Revolut. I mean, this is also something I mentioned when we talked to our equity guys, mainly because, you know, it's a business model that we want to emulate to a certain extent, that we want to combine to what we're already doing. The fact that they're able to, you know, get a banking license before we are, which isn't really on our roadmap, to be quite honest. I said I would never say that word again, but not on our projected plans. But yeah, obviously they have capital. They've been around longer than we have. I'm glad to see that Europe gave them a banking license, because they do deal somewhat with crypto. It might not be Bitcoin friendly as the headline states, but they definitely deal with crypto, and they were able to get a banking license. So that's just good news to me, to be quite honest. Number 8 on the list of 10: Venezuelan government paying old age pensions in petros without people's consent. Well, this is just fucking awesome. I mean, you know, I talk about the fact that the wrong people have a soapbox sometimes in this industry, that the people that are listened to the most probably shouldn't be listened to the most. This petro thing is just complete and utter horseshit. You know, you're talking about a government that is basically should be devaluing their own currency and isn't, has, you know, huge issues in the inside of the country, basically from pretty much all aspects of governance. And now they've created a BS currency backed on someone else's blockchain. This is a government, by the way. They couldn't make their own blockchain. They just came out with a token. Yeah, guys, come on, man. If anybody's still behind this petro thing, if not just for comical relief, they probably need to have their head examined, to be quite honest. Number 9 on a list. Well, before I go on to number 9, I know there's going to be guys out there that talk about how, you know, USD dominance, and this is going to help, I don't know, bring down USD dominance, start pricing oil and blah, blah, euro or whatever, and how it's going to change the world economy. It's not. It's not. It's a play by a scam artist to basically scam more money from one of the poorest countries in the world, and continue to do so under the guise of trying to help people. And it's disgusting, basically. Number 9 on a list of 10, Germany's second largest stock exchange is launching a zero-fee crypto exchange. Yeah, so actually Solaris Bank is part of this one. I had a discussion with Solaris Bank about this. I'm actually meeting Solaris Bank again on the 20th of December. Yeah, I mean, look, these guys are going to come into the market, and no one's going to stop them from doing it. But these guys are after a different market than we are. You know, most retail clients don't trade on stock exchanges. They're still not offering the same type of services we're offering. Their goal, I guarantee you, is a tokenization of assets, and they want to get in now so that they can test their technology, play around a little bit with Bitcoin and Ethereum or whatever nonsense. And then at the end of the day, 2019, 2020, roll out tokenized securities, tokenized bonds, tokenized closed-end funds. That's where the money is. And they got to start now. So, you know, whatever. We're still going to be a retail-focused brand that's going to bring these, let's say, assets or these tradable instruments out to a much wider audience where these guys can't reach. So, number 10, Basis stablecoin calls it quits, returns funds to investors. I actually had a conversation today with a guy from a very large bank out of the CIS region that has a branch here in Switzerland. And we were joking about stablecoins. I haven't met really anyone. Now, I've met people that use the term stablecoin, but they use it to describe something that's not really a stablecoin, and they may market these type of things. But when we really talk about the use case for a token that is backed by a fiat currency, which is the mainstay for the stablecoin definition, most people laugh at it if they know anything about what they're talking about. It's kind of a joke. Yeah, at least they return fund to investors. I don't know if investors is the right word there, but at least they return funds. I mean, I guess that's a silver lining, right? Oh, I saw Ruben come in. Oh, we got John K came in with something here. We'll see him have its own fiat coin like Tether Why do other exchanges? They use it. Well, there is one specific use case, guys, for what John K is describing here. And that's me as an exchange. I need to clear with another entity. Let's say I owe them $1 million in credit, million USD or €1 million, whatever. The banking system doesn't really make that easy to do. So if there's some type of digital asset that I can move to them immediately, clear, and keep my margin or credit accounts going, that's the one use case. Unfortunately, none of the current stable coins really fill that use case. Ripple is probably the best fill for that use case, because Ripple has a few products like consent to sell, which allows us basically to get credit from Ripple and pay them back via bank wire. But before I go down a tangent, I just want to say that no, that's not in the plans right now. A lot of it is to get around regulation. Some of it is because stable coins get a lot of traded volume right now. And look, from a business perspective, if 90% of your volume is going to go to stable coins, why not make your own? And that's the only reason why they're doing it. Ruben asking when Lambo. Well, depends on the scale of that Lambo. Well, when you buy one, I guess, right? When you buy one, you have one. So buy that Lambo, Ruben. I'm going to get back to these questions. I'm going to roll back to the Reddit questions before we get too off track here. 20 minutes in, I'm going to see if I can get all these out before I move on to at least a few minutes of AMA questions before I got to roll. Matt's a boss on Reddit. How do you feel about going live at this time, Kevin? Personally, I'm a little nervous. There's a long list of bugs issues that have been reported in late October that are still not fixed. I'm hoping these might be magically all fixed by next week, but I have my doubts. After such a long wait, it would be disappointing if contributors were to find the platform were still hickered with bugs, many of which seriously hinder usability. I can tell you that a lot of those, am I nervous? Not nervous, never nervous. There's no reason to be nervous in life. You just do it. It's kind of like Nike, right? You just do it, that's it. You might, shit might happen. And in life, shit tends to happen. But I think people that really have success in life are those that can handle the shit, right? If you're a good shit shoveler and you know how to put out fires, then it doesn't really matter how many fires and how much shit is thrown at you. You just keep on trucking. So I'm not nervous at all. Do I expect some bugs? Yeah, I expect some bugs. But that's life. We need to fix those bugs and we need to move on. I do think a lot of the bugs that were reported in October, some of them were fixed. What happens is obviously you have several branches of code, and on one branch you may start to work on some bugs, but then there's some, let's say, longer term objective on that branch, so that branch doesn't get released, et cetera, et cetera. So we have about 4 or 5 branches of the code, and at the end of the day, we work with the branch we're working on, and once certain things get done, we merge those branches. So right now, I would say that I would expect to have a little murky water. It's going to happen. Some of the things that you expected to be fixed have already been fixed. You just don't see them fixed, and some of them are UI UX, and UI UX is going to be the last thing we fix. So if there's a button issue, buttons should be green instead of purple. I don't know, letters aren't lining up with this button or that ledger line or whatever nonsense. Those things are what we're going to fix last. So we've been focused a lot just to make sure that the engine itself, the matching engine, is compatible with our liquidity provider, making sure that we're doing conformance tests, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we're going to roll out Monday. I think it's just going to be Bitcoin Euro. And then as fast as we can, we're going to roll out everything else. And we're doing that basically to make sure that, that everything rolls out smoothly. And again, once we do roll out all those pairs, towards the end of the year, basically, we will start to roll out UI UX fixes. Number 2, Crisp 808. Hi, Kevin. You're obviously aware of the FDIC here in America. Unfortunately, I'm ignorant of the Estonian banking policies that govern insurance on bank accounts. Our bank accounts, they are insured to a certain amount. So across the entire EU, yes, it's the same insurance across the EU as a let's say an entity or a region. Let's see, as CoinMetro, the Fiat. So when it comes to, obviously those limits are built on each segregated account. So currently it's one basically master account where all client funds are stored. So up to a certain point they are insured, but past that point they are not insured. However, we are working with one of our liquidity providers from the FX side, basically to provide authorized representative EMI license, and that license will allow us to use basically an insurance that's provided by this company to their clients, which will insure each and every individual SEPA account up to an unlimited amount. So that's not going to roll out day one, obviously. We're going to look to roll that out probably in Q1, Q2, maybe into Q3, depending on how regulatory flows. But once that does happen, it'll change the scene a bit, change the game, especially, I think, not just for us, but across probably our entire industry. I honestly don't see the point in voting when diminishing CM. Majority of contributors here are looking for a quick profit. I like to vote. I like to see what people are thinking, just to get an idea of what's in their heads. And you're right. At the end of the day, I'm going to make a decision based on what I think is right and what I think makes sense. And if that means, not only protecting our clients but protecting us, we obviously own a lot of XCM. I personally own a lot of XCM. So yeah, it's about making the right decision. But I think it's nice to be able to field some questions and see what people are thinking. At the end of the day, it just helps me understand a bit better what my clients want. Number 3, Bruce Lee 707. Greetings, Kevin. Hope all is well. Regarding the beta test, and I have to be brutally frank with you, I think it's a disaster. Awesome. I have been one of the earliest testers. In fact, for reasons unknown to me, I even won some free XCM in the first round of competition. I'm very surprised. Anyway, I just want to say that bugs which I found out with beta tests are still around today. I have no idea what are the major bugs found, no idea if they are fixed. The bug report were not useful. That, in my opinion, I've been a staunch supporter of CM. I suspect that at this rate, the platform can only be open live to the public in late 2019, and that is provided that serious bugs are fixed. Yeah, I agree with you partially there. I don't agree that it's going to take till late 2019. The first launch of any platform takes time. We did this in kind of a bit of an unorthodox way. Could have been done better, that's for sure. Hindsight being what it is, I can tell you it could have been done better. And over time, we're adjusting the way that we basically roll out these things, especially on bug tests, especially so that people are aware. Having an interface online where people can see what bugs are being worked on, what bugs are not being worked on, vote on the bugs that they think are more serious or changes or updates, etc., is something that we plan to do. So yeah, all that stuff can get better over time, that's for sure. But when we talk about major bugs, I don't know what the definition of major bugs is here, but the fact that the platform works, that liquidity is sourced, that liquidity is there, that you're able to trade, and that trades are executed, means to me that as far as the matching engine goes, which is the core component of the system, it works. There are obviously, though, bugs on let's say that middle layer, and while many of them have been fixed, some of them haven't, and mainly it's because of time. But they will be fixed, and anything that's mission critical is currently being looked at and made sure that it's ready for launch on Monday. Number 4, Remontless. What do you think about crypto loans? Would CoinMetro also be providing in the future similar feature as doing right now? I don't like that market right now. I see most of those crypto loan companies basically loaning out up to 50% of the crypto value in fiat. And then the loan principal is usually paid back in crypto. So depending on where the market swings, especially if you're not hedged. Now, if these companies are hedging their bets 100%, which in this market is not all that easy, and it does carry quite a cost. For instance, swap rate or interest rates on holding, let's say, Bitcoin can reach up to 30% a year. So if I'm paying 30% a year to hedge my risk against a loan that maybe pays 15% interest, even if it's on 50%, I'm at break even. So right now, I see a lot of people jumping on this bandwagon. Obviously, if you gave crypto loans, let's say at the height, at 50%, well, your business is screwed right now, right? To be honest, even in the past 3-4 weeks, if you gave crypto loans with a 50% margin, your business is hurting. So I think there's probably a better way to do it. I haven't seen how everybody does it. That seems to be, let's say, the easier of the business models that I've seen. And it's not something that I'd be looking to do. I don't really see where it provides any value to anybody, anywhere. I just don't see it. Number 5, Robin Timmerman. Good afternoon. I was digging through some info about the PAM accounts. Some of them are having a disastrous 2018. Aren't there strict risk management rules for these accounts to prevent such big losses? Where will the TAM differ in that aspect? Later down the road, will you offer mixed managed accounts, categorized low, medium, high risk? For instance, a low risk MMA would consist of something solid. Low leverage commodity trading, very high risk MMA would be 25-to-1 crypto trading combined with 100-to-1 FX. So yeah, on the FX side, yeah, some of the PAMs have gotten hit pretty hard. That just happens. And are there risk parameters? Sure, but each PAM has a different risk parameter, and that risk parameter is spelled out straightforward in the documents that everybody signs when they open an account. At the end of the day, when you talk about retail managed accounts, most of these are always going to be high risk. And I'll tell you why. Why most people will say that they want to invest in something low risk, like especially after they take a loss, they say, oh, you know what? If there was something that can give me, 3 to 8% a year or whatever, 12% a year, and it was, had 5-6 years worth of history, oh man, I would put money into that. But they don't. They put money into it, and let's say in 2 months they make 1%. They get antsy. They see something else that made 55% or 12% or 18% in the same time. And they take out 20% because they want to believe that they know how to manage risk. Then they take out 50, then they take out 100. Then the other one hits a drawdown. They pull out from the drawdown. They put it back in the low average, PAM system or low average managed system. They get a bit of money back. They put it back into the high average one when it's on an upswing, and they lose again. And that's generally what happens. It's human nature. So people try to chase the profit, and they end up really just chasing losses. So will we offer? Sure. It's not about us. These are TAM managers. These are people. These are algorithms. These are managers that are going to come on to manage this money. So there will be low, medium, and high risk for sure. What I can tell you is from experience that money always flows into high risk all the time, every time. And that's just the way it works. But yes, there will be options. And if it's marketed as high risk, it's high risk. If it's marketed as low risk, it's still high risk, just low within the risk, within that like range of high risk products, basically. Number 6, Diligent Techie. Hope the travels are going well. What did you make of Boris Sturgard's plans to launch a crypto exchange next year? Is that a worry? I already commented on this one. So no, not a worry at all. This is expected. NASDAQ, I'm sure, will come out with news. I think they have backed, but they will come out with news. You will see pretty much every major exchange come out with news. Their eye on the prize is tokenized assets. The ability to tokenize everything they already list, plus being able to list assets like closed-end funds and things they've never been able to list because there's never been a secondary liquidity market. That's where the eye on the prize is. They need to get in now to be able to do that, and they want to get in before so that they can be part of this narrative about regulation. So it's going to happen. Does it affect us? Not so much. We're a retail front-facing entity. We have a lot more to us than just an exchange. I think what it does is it provides stability to the market. It provides a bit of credibility to the market, and all that helps us for sure, especially when we go in front of regulators and banks. What's your advice for trading in a bear market? Trading in a bear market, trading in a bull market, trading in a neutral market, trading in a ranging market, trading in a whatever market, always the same rules. Sit on your hands. You devise a system, whether that system works on the study of volume, whether you're using, whether you're reading raw charts, whether you're looking at support and resistance, whether you're trying to buy tops, sell tops and buy bottoms, whatever you're trying to do, when you have a plan and that plan has worked on some type of back testing or demo testing, don't get off the plan. If you're in a terrible trade and it's about to hit your stop loss, take the loss because you program that loss. That loss is 2, 3, 5, 10, whatever it is % of your portfolio, and you were willing to take it when you set that stop loss. Well, take it. And if it reverses right on the number that you take that loss on and shoots up 50%, fuck it. Next day, move on. The point is that you always need to be ready for the next day. If you plan to be here tomorrow, then you will be profitable in the long run. If your plan constantly changes based on what's happening in the market, you will lose every time. What do you think 2019 holds for Ethereum? We will ever see it reach lofty heights of 2017. I think that Ethereum reached those lofty heights based on the back of an ICO bubble. An ICO bubble we will never see again. Now, that doesn't mean Ethereum can't reach those heights again, but it needs to show a use case to show that value. Right now, even the value it has right now is probably overvalued. Why? Because it's very hard to put a value behind the processing of smart contracts. The system itself, the protocol itself, doesn't require any minimum level of value for smart contracts to be executed. So where is the value of Ethereum? It's very hard to calculate. There is obviously a mining cost, so you can add that into the equation. That's right now because proof of work, they're going into proof of stake, so whatever. At the end of the day, though, I think 2019 for Ethereum, I do think we're going to see a range. We have a huge range right now, but generally speaking, I think our real range is somewhere between 85 US or 80 US, let's say, upwards of 300. That's going to be a super hard range to break out of, though it's much easier to break out towards the bottom. We're kind of sitting there right now. So I wouldn't expect, regardless of tech innovations is one thing, but tech innovations should be the catalyst for actual use cases. If a strong use case actually comes out and Ethereum is better at that use case than anyone else in the market, which is going to be difficult, then it has a value and the value will rise. Where did the basis team go wrong? Are there lessons to be learned there? I don't know enough about the story. I didn't look at it enough. I think stablecoins in general went wrong. And every stablecoin I've seen up to this point, just about every stablecoin I think went wrong. I think they're fundamentally flawed. And to be honest, there's not much of a use case in the market. They're a band-aid on a much more systemic problem. But I'll have a look. We'll talk about it next week. Make sure you pitch another question, and we'll talk about it. Number 7, Peter Mack. Will Fiat be on and off? Will Fiat on and off be available from next week? Yes. Euro in the SEPA zone. Credit cards and bank transfers. Credit cards, yes, in multiple currencies, and bank transfers, Euro in the SEPA zone to start. What currencies will be available on day one? Day one is just going to be Bitcoin, Euro, and then as quickly as we possibly can, we're going to roll out additional currencies. What will the fees be for depositing, withdrawing 1,000? Depends on how you deposit and withdraw that 1,000. So if it's from a SEPA transfer, it's going to cost you €1. If you're doing that over a credit card and you're inside the EU, I think it's 2.99%. If you're outside the EU, it's 4.99%. What other funding methods? I think those are the main funding methods we're going to have from day one. We're going to add on new funding methods as we go. But for the launch, that's what we're going to see. I think low fees for deposits and withdrawals would be a great marketing gesture, as this is where most exchanges seem to hide their fees. Yeah, we go as low as we possibly can. We still need to make a bit of money there because we charge so much less on the exchange side. Remember, makers make money when they put orders on our exchange. So we do need to make money somewhere, but yeah, we try to keep them competitive as much as we possibly can. And we don't look to make a ton of money there, but there does have to be a little bit of profitability. I think minting should be slightly delayed to allow proper testing of live trading. Lots of testing done in a beta group, but fiat on and off not tested. Best to make sure everything is working. I agree with you 100%. That's why we left these 2 weeks. We'll see if that's enough. To be honest, outside of that, doing it on the 31st, never really thought about this, right? But it's vacation. People won't really be back in the office or back home until probably the 10th of January, which means we're gonna be launching a low liquid asset into a very low liquid volatile market, and most people are gonna be on the sell side. So you put that in your pipe and smoke it and figure out what that means to you. But yeah, I do agree. My goal is collectively to make sure that XCM retains value. So. Robin Timmerman again. This is Robin already asked this question. Superstitious Ant, number 9. I hope you're getting some sleep and smashing down those vegan meals. Right on. Quick one regarding the imminent live exchange. Do you have a ballpark figure as far as liquidity is concerned to greenlight the minting of XCM tokens? Or has this job been handled to the resident mathematician to work out? Resident mathematician. Trying to think about who that might be. Do we have a ballpark regarding... liquidity? So no, no. I think it's by the gut, to be quite honest. It's having a look to see as the orders roll in, how many people are actually using the exchange. We can see who's using the exchange. We know their username. We know how much XCM they hold. We know if they can sell it or not. We're going to know more or less what the available supply would be on the market. It's going to be more difficult for us to see what the demand would be. But we'll know what the available supply is. So it'll give us an idea of how much is going to be available on the market and where that can put price based on 0 demand, 10% demand, 20% demand, etc. So we will be running those figures. But it'll, sometimes these things need to be played by the gut, unfortunately. Sometimes the gut, computers don't have guts, right? So at the end of the day, sometimes that's actually better than the best AI you can ever find. All right, I'm going to jump into the AMA, guys. Obviously, for updates, I'll throw it out there again. Monday, going live. Huntscoin as well. I heard through the grapevine that their public sale will be going live on Monday, so you guys check that out too. Let me see what we got here. How is fundraising going? Will CoinMetro survive? From Jorn. Fundraising is going. Talking to a lot of people. Have some commitments here or there. Nothing 100% concrete yet, but I'm banging away at it. And it's what I do every day. And we're close. We're close to the first few confirmations. Will CoinMetro survive? 100%. Does that mean it's going to be a clean sailing road and, we might not have a few tough weeks here or there or tough months? Can't guarantee you that. Will it continue to survive? Yes, it will. Why? Because I don't give up, period. Gerardo Melero, how do you plan to bring in people to CoinMetro, especially the current state of the market? This is one reason why we build out an ecosystem that's not just based on crypto trading. So from the crypto trading side, look, we pay makers. That means that if you're trading with limit orders to save money at any other exchange, why wouldn't you come somewhere else where you could put a limit order and make money off of it? We're looking at other ways that we can attract people. In Talon, we've done some test cases with billboard campaigns and with airport gates and things like that. These are things that we're looking to do on a much more global scale as well. These are our test cases, and they've worked quite well. Obviously, we've done this before, we've gone live, so it's not a push really for clients, but it's a push for awareness, and for awareness, it works great. And we have a lot of out-of-the-box ideas. So you need to think a step ahead of everybody else. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to completely reinvent the wheel, but you need to really dig, and you need to find why. Yeah, why would people want? Well, I think an inviting nature, better customer support, being able to make money as you trade rather than having to pay to place limit orders in somebody's book, pay to give them liquidity, is a big one. An ambassador program that's just has many more facets than let's say other IB or other affiliate programs. There's lots of things that we're working on. I tend not to like to throw out the entire game plan live, because I've done that a few times, and then whoo, voila, somebody else is doing it. That might be a coincidence, maybe it's not, but I choose not to find out if it is a coincidence. Let's put it that way. Langton, for new listings after the first 5, will CoinMetro be able to list cryptos besides ERC20 tokens? I love to see Skycoin listed on CoinMetro. Keep up the good work. Thanks for that. Eventually, yes. Right now, our entire wallet system is based on BitGo. So anything BitGo is able to list inside their wallet infrastructure, we can list on our exchange. That's going to change. That's one of the first things we'll be working on after we do margin trading, which is the next thing right after the exchange goes live. Margin trading, margin lending, and then we will look at building out our own, let's say, wallet system. We'll still use BitGo in conjunction for some cold wallet storage, but we're going to basically create our own hot and warm wallet, multi-sig wallet system, so that we can add on additional assets. Kish E, is Fiat Gateway available from day one? Yes, it is. That's Euro in SEPA zone. Will U.S. clients have Fiat Gateway? Well, you can send Euro via SEPA. But from the U.S., at least day one, no. But we're working on getting that wrapped up. So we're working on additional bank accounts, and we're working on additional payment gateways. Now, you can use credit cards, that's for sure, from anywhere in the world. And USD is one of the payment options on credit cards. So in that respect, yes. Krispy Kreme when mint. Right now, scheduled for the end of the year, 31st. That may or may not change. It depends on lots of different things, but that is the schedule right now. What's the latest developments regarding debit cards from Bjorn? When will they be available? So debit cards. I think I'm going to owe somebody a debit card on this one. I remember making a promise at some point. We have been back and forth with multiple providers. I'm going to go on December 20th to see Solaris Bank, which is one of those providers. I'll give it to you in the quickest way that I possibly can. So when it comes to debit cards, let's say one provider may have access to 3 or 4 countries. One provider may have access to 8. One provider may have access to 1 region of the world. So it requires multiple providers. Now, one single provider can cover you, let's say, throughout Europe, but sometimes that's not as good as it sounds. Sometimes they don't have the man on the ground, the boots on the ground, so to speak, in all those different regions, even though they've passported through those regions, and it carries a bit of a risk that those programs can be shut down. So you have to be very careful. For instance, Solaris Bank, 2-3 regions right now. Will probably be more in 2019. Right now, 2-3 regions. But great partner to have. Have banking as a service, offer a lot of things outside of debit cards. Other big players like Qantas can offer you all of Europe, but can't really offer you anywhere else. Other providers that I won't mention names on here, but can provide you with, let's say, a card based out of the Caribbean that you can then get into South America, parts of North America, et cetera, APAC region, blah, 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 blah. So we're trying to put together the most comprehensive, and we're also raising funds. So the funds we have right now, if we were to push them, let's say the debit card, which is not the cheapest thing to do. It's not that expensive, but it is not cheap, and it costs a lot of money to maintain. So the idea at first was to do it kind of almost with the conjunction with launching the exchange. But until we have an exchange base where we know how many clients we expect to order that card, we can be carrying fees of 20 to 30K a month just to keep up the card programs, or even more, depending on how many programs we have. So we want to make sure that that we have the base before we do that, and we want to see where we should launch first, because that's going to dictate which of the negotiated deals that we have on the table we're going to take first. Updates will be forthcoming, more updates or more specific updates. All right, guys, it's 18 minutes to the hour. I have a meeting I actually have to run to in the next, well, not run to, but I have to prepare for in the next 3 or 4 minutes. So if you have more questions, I'll continue to answer them. If you don't, we're going to call it quits a bit early today. Thank you guys for being here anyway. When is the TAM and ETCF coming? Q1? TAM and ETCF Q2, Q3. So TAM, we're actually going through quite quite a project with a law firm called Sorainen in Estonia. Remo, who's one of the partners of Sorainen, was at our meetup in our office, which is on YouTube. Super dark video because we taped it right at the last moment. It looks like shit, but the audio is nice. And you can pick up the panel towards the end, probably like 30 minutes in until maybe 40 minutes in. And it's about an hour-long panel. It was actually really good on regulation. But they're actually helping us with the TAM right now to classify it, because there is a way for us to do the TAM without any licensing. But it's a bit of a complex way that we have to set it up. So TAM and ETCF are highly reliant on regulation, which means specific licenses that we need, which can take 6 to 9 months to acquire, which we will apply for by the probably end of January. So the TAM will probably launch first, because I think we're going to be able to do it outside of current regulation because the way the product is classified. So that would probably put it in Q2, Q3 for ETCF, more than likely. ETA and public API. Public API is also something that we'll release sometime before we do margin trading. So it'll be right after we do the full release. So I would say probably before February, but could be January. Before the end of February, sorry. Tommy Wilkinson, would CoinMetro consider launching a news publication based upon the coins on the platform? Yeah, actually, we have a SEO, search engine optimization, let's say idea or product that is pretty much just that. So yes, for sure. When will margin be ready? The work on margin has already started, but will kick into high gear as soon as we get through this launch. So probably after the holidays, it'll kick into gear. There's a lot of UI UX that needs to be done, and we're working on a new website as well, which will roll out in February. So more than likely towards the end of Q1 is when margin trading will start to roll out. Probably first margin lending, and we'll allow well, margin lending, margin trading kind of at the same time, but margin lending will probably come out first, so we can start to load up a book. People can start to get their money, so we can understand how much money is going to be there, so that we can adjust our own risk parameters and how much leverage we're going to offer on the other side. But yeah, probably towards the end of Q1. Actually, I will chat with our CTO about that just to make sure that my estimate is on par. Thanks, Axel. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys, for being here. I'm gonna have to cut it a little bit short. I really like doing these things, so I don't like when I have to run away. But business is what business is. So thanks, guys, for being here. Have a great weekend. Spend some time with family and friends. For Christ's sake, don't look at the Ethereum price. You know, again, caveat is if you're like a witch doctor and you can make the thing jump to like about 700 or so, just send me like a WhatsApp message first, text message, Telegram, whatever. Let me sell, and then drop it back wherever you want. If you're not a witch doctor, however, don't look, don't watch, don't think about it. And see you guys next week. I will attempt to jump on Telegram towards the end of this weekend. I have a lot of meetings scheduled until I fly back to Talon on Sunday, and then I have meetings on Sunday as well. So thanks, Jason. Thanks to everybody. Stay safe, guys. Have a great weekend. Chat soon, and see you guys on Monday. All right, let's all get hyped up about the launch. All right, see you soon. Cheers.